And the closer in I draw those connections, the more it will make sense that flipping stuff like in laundry with the big comforter, and so the small laundry machine can clean the comforter on the other end. It's just equal to flipping the chips in barbecue by adding big ones on the hottest spot and then flipping them after they all get convected up properly, and then coming back and flipping them. Currently the rate of change is wrong and the truth is not adequate enough, so I'm gonna have to go to more extreme measures, like calling this a ghost Pokemon even though it's not. I just had my friend chased down by a black cloud and he didn't make it, and he had been suffering with this black cloud for a while, and I couldn't speak to him, but the last time I did see him I could kind of see that he was dealing with a black cloud, just like Pikachu could be a bunch of bright lights traveling at a high speed by big vehicles, like a fire truck or an ambulance. If you see one of them around a lot, that's like a Pikachu. So on a more serious note, I'm going to be relating this to voltages, quarks as conductors, and finding the difference between binary and mechanical, and seeing where they fit in between as electrochemical, and seeing how similar that material is to being its opposite, which would be a wraith, which is a humanoid at length. Destruction is the lesser of two evils. That's just simply not the case. In law, they say that one aids and one abets. One aids and one abets. When there's high rates, you can see what exactly is the last thing that you were doing before it hit you, because high rates make things move in slow motion when you're in the moment. But what if they could catalog that moment with every depiction that you cross through, every cross-reference, like between two things, the thing set between. They're just always like, I don't care if it's true or not, it has enough behind it to make it stand up in a court of law, and that's all that matters. When you're talking about high rates, you can be speaking on things that are like a paper tiger, and things are different that way. You know, look at abstract sculpture, you can look at people and see like, oh, their eye bruises at a distance mimics an age, and then you can see how a skull at a distance is really much the same. But if you're trying to see if it is like a cartoon character that's older or lesser, that's the whole science behind the high rate being at a length where you can call things like paper tigers. Understand the math behind the undergrowth. Lord of the Rings, Frodo hid under the undergrowth. Understand when you're cutting it with a knife how that is. So it's going to be better to cut into this way as opposed to cutting it over in that way, because you'll have more control as opposed to cutting that way and it being harder. Relate this to the bed being blown up and airbed stuff on top of it. Making a map and drawing on it, have it be something like this, where then this is the drawing and it can play with the music box and the stick video. And if you were in Tron, that's you going into a video game. If that video game was put inside of a teddy bear in a different world, it would be like an Avatar, and it's the humans going into it, as opposed to in Avatar it was us going into the blue thing, being like a cat person that's 7 feet tall. If there was a 7 foot tall blue baboon in a different planet and it came to the Avatar in Earth, it would come as like a person who looked like a human, but it would really be an avatar. And that's the difference. If it's a projection, you can go up and see it closely. If it's a hologram, if you see a hologram Pikachu, or if you call like a nickname for Pikachu, a whole bunch of lights going off together, that could be a Pikachu of a different sense. And in different senses, it's like, if you've never seen a guy stand on money, if you've seen a guy stand and dance on money, who's to say that he's not doing an avatar in a different place, standing and dancing on something on a different world? We don't know, but we're not doing that. Also, talking to money, he could be talking to a spirit through it and actually hearing it, and if he was, that would be demonic. And so it's just like a spirit going through objects. They can do that, and that's possessions. That is like a demonic
thing. The horror movie Chucky is like a spirit going into it, and then just a spirit going into Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th is demonic possession. And then another demonic possession could be the teddy bear in the movie Ted. So if you see something like that happening, someone talking to a teddy bear or something, is probably a robot. But if it isn't, you just like kick it. If you saw a teddy bear walking with no one around it and it wasn't talking or anything, you kick it and see if it's a robot. Because probably see a robot in your lifetime, but I never have seen a teddy bear walking around, so if I didn't, I'd kick it to make sure it wasn't a robot. And if it wasn't, if it was a stuffed animal and it's possessed by a spirit, that's in the movie Ted. That's why the movie's rated MA, because the guy is talking to a teddy bear and it's not a robot. And so in the movie Pikachu too, that'd be a hologram, and actually Pokemon are a hologram in the actual thing, but someone said Pokemon was demonic, and I don't know, there's ghosts in it and that's demonic, but other than that, Pokemon isn't demonic. I guess it's hologram. So if you do see a Pikachu in real life, like that movie, that Pikachu was in real life. Or probably Sonic the Hedgehog would probably be an avatar, because it's like, I think he really is a hedgehog in his story. He's just like from a different planet, because hedgehogs don't look like that. They're not blue and tall. So that's just a representation of one. It could be like a Pikachu as the policeman at cars all together as a Pikachu. Equivalency. That's the equivalency of the guy dancing on the money. We don't know if he's doing that, and we don't know if he's actually using the money as a phone. He's talking on different phones and money all the time. You could be doing that if you want to. I've never seen anyone do that before, but if you could, if you want to make it be like a phone and you actually be using the money as an object to talk through a phone, you would do that with a whole bunch of money together, and you would actually do that somehow. And that guy was pretending he was doing that in the one movie that was actually a show, was a YouTube movie on the South Georgia. There was a guy, and he was Yo Gotti, and Yo Gotti got another guy, and that guy was talking. He was in the South. He sounded like a cowboy because he said wreckin', and he said other southern things, and was talking to his money on the phone. Then he danced on it. And so who's to say that wasn't doing some Tron shit and wasn't doing some next gen listening to the money, actually using it as a telephone, which could be an option in the future if you know how to mix the mechanical and digital together. That's demonic. Okay, so if you were the difference between jumping into a video game like in the game Tron, and then that video game console, if it was like a small microchip, and you put it into something that's like now a robot, and that robot can be used from you as inside the game of Tron to be inside, that's like another world where they jumped into another world. That's like an alien then, because an alien from a different world would be like that big baboon that was blue, that's in Power Rangers. He's from a different planet. So that's an alien, and that's better than talking to an alien, is better than talking to a dead spirit, like a dead person, because you don't raise the dead, you don't talk to the dead. That's what when you're inviting spirits in and you're a witch into like your circle and you're doing a ritual, that's demonic, and you don't play with the dead even if it's a spirit. So I do, if I've never seen a person that I knew pass away in a dream, but if you do, you don't talk to them because you don't talk to the dead. Especially if you see someone who passed. So one scary movie would be like if you saw a whole bunch of people who passed, but you didn't know that they passed, and they would all just be the dead people. And that's one way of not knowing how you can get tricked by possession. I've never had that happen. I'm just saying if it did, that would be the scariest movie if everyone was already dead. And that's another scary movie that I thought of, if you were tricked and everyone took off their faces and they were robots. So being a robot is different than an avatar. What's the difference? And I'm trying to understand possessions by that. So if we're like going into a machine, the Matrix, they go into a machine, they're an avatar. In the Avatar movie, they go into a machine and they're an avatar. So if you go into a machine, I'm saying loosely, a machine is like anything that you could be like in the stuff Avatar. It's like there's a whole bunch of police and their lights are flashing, and that's like a projection of a Pikachu, some might say. And then you could like dance on money, and who's to say you're not dancing on something in a different planet? That's the avatar of you doing it. You could be dancing on something crazy, like a giant castle. I don't know. What would you dance on and just have it be money on the ground? If you could just for like, but who's to say he wasn't doing it? Versus a baboon going into an avatar and coming on planet Earth. If we do that and go into the game Tron and go into like in that video game Tron, that machine is actually equivalent to a chip in like a 5D universe. You're like going into it and possessing it. If they put that game Tron as a chip into like a teddy bear, then you would be going into an avatar as a teddy bear into a different planet as a teddy bear. So if you saw a teddy bear, someone walking with one, you would kick it to make sure that it's not a robot. If they were chasing it and angry with it, you would kick it, make sure it was down. And if it wasn't a robot, if it was just a stuffed animal walking, you would hold it upside down with its feet and make sure it was not walking anymore, because that doesn't make sense. I'm not saying in your lifetime you're going to see this happen, but if you did, that's what you would do. And if it was a spirit in it, you would show other people it and make sure that it wasn't real, because that shouldn't be happening. But if it did fly at you and attack you, you dismember it. And then if it was not a robot, you'd keep some of it and see it if it was still talking. And if other people are talking to a stuffed animal, you like shouldn't do anything to it, because it could be a robot. But you'd probably ask them and check, is that a robot? Because you've never seen that happen before. And it wears out your engine when you leave it in neutral and go above 10 miles per hour, because it's pulling on the engine if you're above 10 miles per hour, putting it in neutral.